Hee Haw. Years ago, when Randy and I were dating, we'd go out and ride together, and I would ride my mare, Becky, and he would ride his mountain bike. And we'd ride around the stable where I had her boarded, and these were just gravel roads, dirt and sand and whatnot. Well, we were out riding one day, and we were about 8 miles out, and we came up to this field that had some cattle in it. And on the right were about 10 or 15 cows, no big deal, but they all came to the fence to look at us. Well, and right across from them was another pasture that had about 60 cows in it, so they all came over the fence to look at us too. And so Becky stopped because she really didn't know what they were going to do, and she was looking at them. She was a little nervous. And Randy stopped and got off the bike. And I was talking to Becky and petting her and calming her down. And then we noticed that with the 60 cattle, there were also 4 donkeys. And Randy thought they were pretty funny looking, and he hadn't really seen them too much before. And so we're all looking at the tent, and they're looking at each other. And the cows and the donkeys and the horse and me and Randy looking back and forth and trying to see who's going to do what. And that wasn't any big deal. And so Becky had just about gotten over her nervousness, and she was ready to go through where they both were, down the road. And Randy decides to say hee haw, to talk to the donkeys to see what would happen. So he says, hee haw, hee haw. Well, the donkeys perked up, looked at him, looked at me, looked at the bike, the horse, the cows, and decided they didn't know where that noise came from or who made that noise or why. So they just turned tail and bucked and kicked off and ran. So all the cows got nervous, and they looked around and couldn't figure out what the donkeys were afraid of, and so they decided to run too. So all 60, 70 cattle turned tail, kicked up, bucked, and ran off. Scared the crap out of Becky, and she just jumped to the left about 4 feet. I didn't go with her. I fell and hit the ground and hit the road. My head, my shoulder, my hip, my knees pounded onto the ground. And then Becky started to mosey back the way we'd come. Well, Randy yelled at her. I thought, great, don't yell at her because she'll take off. Well, sure enough, she started running back the way we'd come. And I'm laying there, and I'm like, don't chase her. Thought I was yelling. I was really whispering. So Randy gets on his bike and goes after her. And I'm laying there thinking, oh, I might as well lay here for a minute and quit hurting because I don't know how long he's going to chase her and what's going to happen. Well, at the same time, there's a guy coming up the road in his pickup truck. And he saw the whole thing and was very worried about us. And Randy got Becky, he caught her, and was walking back to me with his bicycle in one hand and Becky in the other, and the guy in the truck came up too. And he was making sure I felt okay and I wasn't hurt or broken or anything. And I wasn't. And I said, no, I'm fine, we're okay. And so he was satisfied and left. Well, the lady that owned the property up the road in the house, she saw everything too. So she hopped in her truck and came down and asked us if we were okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. She just felt horrible because her cows scared my horse and I got hurt. So, well, nothing's broken, I'm fine, I don't have a concussion, we'll just ride back to the barn, no big deal. And she said, no, I'll take you in my truck, get in my truck, I'll drive you back to the barn. I was like, well, you can't do that because of the bike and the horse. She said, well, we'll put the bike in the back and Randy will ride the horse back. I thought, okay, Randy can't ride the horse because he doesn't know how to ride the horse. Plus, now she's scared, he's not going to get her there, and I'll be worried about them the whole time. I said, no, we're fine. And she said, no, I'll take you back, we'll get you, it's okay. And I said, no, I'll ride Becky. I said, besides, if I don't get back on, I'm going to be so sore tomorrow. I'm going to hurt all over. So I finally got everybody convinced I was fine and I could ride. So Randy got back on his bike and I got back on Becky. We rode the 8 miles back to the barn. But Randy said, well, we'll just turn around and go back. I said, no, now that she's scared and we're here, we have to get through this. We have to go through the cows. So we rode through the cows, and they followed us a little ways, and then they got bored and wandered off. And Becky calmed down. We rode the 8 miles back to the barn. In the meantime, I had blood running down my arm from the injury I had in my shoulder. I scraped my shoulder, and I had a bruise on my hip the size of a football, and filthy from head to toe. And we got back to the barn, and everything was fine. And I think Randy was really pretty impressed.